One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. Then let me be free. From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. A metal mayhem that will never die. With engines roaring, he paves his way. A legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a beautiful Felony Friday. Good morning to everybody. Let's get it. All right, as you guys can see on the title, we got a lot to discuss. Oil tankers hit in Hormuz, as well as Trump announces Hamas deal, and then, of course, we got NATO scrambles jets. So let me go ahead and give you guys the chronological breakdown of what we're going to be discussing this morning on on our timeline here. So we've been following the story about Savannah Guthrie about 6 months ago. So we've been kind of following any of the developments coming out of this. And unfortunately, there has been, well, not much coming out about her case. It says Savannah Guthrie pleads for mom's return. I'm sorry. I forget. Nancy Guthrie, I think is her name, her actual name. Savannah is her daughter. Anyways, she pleads for her mom's return 6 months into an investigation. Of course, we know that's I mean, what a sad story that is. But there's definitely some missing context. I wish we knew what actually happened there. And then we have President Trump unveils Freedom Haulers Initiative. Now, I really don't even know what all of that entails. So we're going to be finding that out together, obviously. Then we have father of Apache HS shooter sentenced to prison. Now, I'm not sure what this even is, okay? Let me go ahead and read the description. A man who gave his son the gun he used to kill 2 students and 2 teachers in Apache, that's what it is, Apache High School in Georgia, was sentenced Thursday to 15 years in prison. Wow. So that the sentencing happened yesterday. Then we have California cocaine bust. Border agents find $20 million worth of cocaine in a commercial truck. Oh, shit.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Homies got caught. Then we got firefighters rescue driver after a truck crashing into a building. And I can't really tell where this is. I think this is over there in LA. But we'll get into that here in a bit. We got also on regards to Trump, Board of Peace reaches deal to fully disarm Hamas. I don't like how they worded that because that's not necessarily true. That's clickbaity. That's a clickbaity title. And that's not really what's happening. I actually reported yesterday what it really actually means. Anyways, I'll show that when we're going through that segment. Then we have Seattle police chief resigns days after deadly shooting. The police chief ends up fucking resigning days after this shit. Unbelievable. We have NATO jets scrambled amid Russian attack on Ukraine as well. It says an overnight Russian barrage of ballistic missiles and drones across Ukraine killed at least 10 civilians and injured more than 50 people, officials said Thursday. NATO scrambled fighter jets after Russian missiles briefly entered Polish airspace, raising fears the war could spread farther west. And yes, there has been a lot of discussion about Poland recently, as you guys may have heard in the news. And then 11 hours ago, Trump threatens to pull Todd Blanche nomination until GOP holdouts leave office. Now, I'm not sure what the threat is going on, but there's a lot of discussion about Todd Blanche right now in the media this morning. We have Iran claims strikes on 2 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, obviously, that's what we did our thumbnail based off of today. So as you guys can see, that's where we got the 2 tankers on fire, man. We put a lot of work into those thumbnails, man. And then last but not least, we have standoff over Trump's nomination of Todd Blanche for Attorney General. Now, I guess they come out with even more information on this whole thing just an hour ago. All right, before we get into the madness, man, let's go ahead and do our call to actions, and then we'll quickly get into the madness. Make sure you guys hit that like button as well as double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side, and also hit that subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday, and of course, we have members only on Saturday morning, man. It's a good time where we don't talk about any of this shit, which is tomorrow, by the way. Speaking of members, please consider becoming a member starting only at $4.99 a month, making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. A little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time, breaking news, as well as politics, all that great shit. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for all of you legends. I mean, it's a great place for all of us to hang out as a community. But what's great about it as well is I have a little breaking news segment in the server where I break down minute by minute as it's happening when I'm not live on the air. I'm able to break it down in the Discord. So video description down below is where the invite link is going to be for the Discord for all streams. And then, of course, last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and membership signups are, of course, all going to be presented live and shouted out onto the show. But if you guys like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen at any time. You can donate to those, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And, of course, we'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a normal super chat. All right, so I've got my email up. We'll always be scanning over here. All right, real quick, we got Virginia Chaos starting it off this morning. Not 1, but 2 freaking gifted memberships. Let's fucking go, bro. Thank you very much for that. Not only helping me, but 2 others in the IWS, my man. Thank you very much for that. And you are a true legend, man. Appreciate you. Let's see who we got in here, man. We got Pablo. Good morning to you, as well as Brother So Loud. Let's see here. We got Rabbit of Chaos. Yes, ma'am. We got we're rolling our way down here. Let me see. We got Naomi as well. Good morning to you. We got Carrie, as well as Brother OG Steve Easy. Yes, sir. We got Social Rejects up in here. Good morning to you, by the way. Let's see. We got Brother Dean Savage over there in Israel. Shout out to my man, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying the morning so far. I definitely know that we are. We got Junkyard, my man, saying we live, baby. That's right. We absolutely are. Good to see you, by the way. We got Jamie Lindsay in the chat as well. Appreciate you. OG Steve Easy saying double tap that screen and give a like for Mike. That's a fact, by the way, Jack. We got No Grow. Good morning to you as well. We got Stephanie. Good morning. Good morning. Regards to the deal and Hamas thoughts. Well, okay, so I'll bring that up when we get to that section. I'll bring up the actual post of what I posted, what you commented on actually, and I'll kind of expand on it a little bit when we get there. Let's see. We got Texas Gidget. Good morning to you as well. Appreciate you. And happy Friday, by the way. We got Steve Posey as well. All right. Good morning to everybody. Let's go ahead and get into the craziness here. We're going to start off with this whole Nancy Guthrie situation. So let's go ahead and figure out what's happening here.
My name is Josh Breslow. And of course,
now 6 months later, by the way, this came out yesterday. And since we, I always do my best to follow stories anytime that I present a story on Insane Wheels. Just because it's unpopular or whatever in the time later doesn't mean I'm not going to cover it. I try my absolute damnedest to follow any of the stories we present. So this just happens to be one of those updates. I'm sure she's going to get on and talk about how she wants to see her mom again, of course. And it's going to be sad. But anyways, very short. It's only 3 minutes.
So we continue to follow all of the latest developments there on the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. She is, of course, the mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. You can see some of those images there on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, we can tell you that later this week will mark...
I'm just telling you, I have the spidey sense that we're missing context here in the regards to Nancy Guthrie, her disappearance. I truly think that there is something there that happened that I don't know if maybe the government even does know themselves. I don't know.
6 months since the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, and at this point, she has not been found. Now, we know that her daughter and her other children have released several videos on social media pleading for information that would lead to their mother's whereabouts. And I want to pop this up on your screen. This is actually coming in from Fox 10 Phoenix and says this weekend will mark 6 months since Nancy Guthrie vanished from her southern Arizona home. And investigators say, quote, complex and time-intensive analysis of DNA and digital evidence in the case continues. Now, the Pima...
What's up, Crystal Kitten? By the way, good morning to you. And Steve says, why didn't anyone take my mom? Oh, shit.
County Sheriff over in Arizona releasing a fairly lengthy statement here earlier on today. He says this week marks 6 months since Nancy Guthrie was taken from her home. This investigation remains active and ongoing. When a significant development occurs in this case, it will be shared publicly in those remarks after a situation that played out yesterday where it appears...
Actually, I don't remember. I rolled a few of them up last night, but then I ended up smoking a couple of them. So let me see. Oh, we've got 2 in the chamber right now. We got 2. So yeah, I think I rolled about 4 yesterday, like late afternoon, evening time, whatever.
There could potentially be a connection to what we were seeing happen and unfold there in Pima County with a standoff. However, the sheriff's office was quick to say there is no connection. Right here, you can see a
What's up, Uncle Fester? Good morning.
Here saying the Guthrie investigation remains active and ongoing. A task force of investigators from the Pima County Sheriff's Department and the FBI remains committed to finding Nancy and providing answers to her family. The analysis of DNA and digital evidence has been underway.
What's up, GEG? By the way,
good morning. For the past 6 months. This work is complex and time-intensive, but investigators continue to pursue every credible lead. As Savannah Guthrie recently said, it is never too late to do the right thing. Anyone with information urged to come forward and...
Of course. We got Mr. Jack Telcott, by the way. Good morning to you. Happy Felony Friday. Great to see you in the chat, my man.
Bring this case to a resolution. Those with credible information that may assist investigators should contact 1-800-CALL-FBI or 88-CRIME. Again, that is 1-800-CALL-FBI or 88-CRIME. Callers to 88-CRIME may remain anonymous. That is...
All right, so that they're putting out the word. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on. We have to. We got President Trump unveils Freedom Haulers Initiative. Let's go ahead and bring that up as well real quick. Here we go.
But right now, we have to go out to this. Live speaking there at the White House is President Trump. He's making an announcement about truck drivers and...
Now, this was obviously yesterday, just for context for everybody that's just coming in. This is from yesterday right here.
Transportation. Let's listen.
I want to thank Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy is doing a fantastic job. Secretary of Veterans Affairs Doug Collins, likewise, really doing a good job. 92% approval. That's not bad, Doug. You'll get it up a little bit.
What's up, Richard Smith? By the way, good morning.
Acting Secretary of Labor Keith Sonderling, and along with President of Werner Enterprises Nathan Meisker. Thank you very much, Nathan, and representatives from the American Trucking Independent.
Okay. That's their side.
And they're all behind this 100%. I'm behind it 100%. We got to stop it.
Okay.
Today you see another.
This is obviously happening on their side, by the way. It has nothing to do with us.
The story, we're not going to let that happen. That won't happen with our great vets. But above all, thank you.
TNT with the gold coin. Appreciate that, by the way. Thank you for making it rain in the chat.
The amazing veterans with the with us. I mean, they've just been with us from the day they were born, I suspect. They're great patriots, and we love them. And we want to thank UPS, FedEx, and Werner for the job they've done. Thanks as well to the National Commander of MVETS, Paul Shipley, Chief Operating Officer of the Independence Fund, Doug Ackerman, and the great patriots from the Wounded Warrior Project, American Legion, Blue Star Families, Gary Sinise Foundation, Vietnam Veterans of America, and Paralyzed Veterans of America. We thank you all, and thank you all for being with us. Very special. Thank you, fellas. Thank you, everybody.
Brother TNT in the building, chilling like a villain. Good morning.
For many years, American highways and roadways have been terrorized by unqualified illegal aliens dangerously driving big rigs like that. You got to know something to drive. Wow, that sucker is a big one. That's big stuff. But they're you have to have a knowledge. You have to have a talent for it. And these people don't have that. They're driving big rigs, semi-trucks, and tractor trailers, all because radical left maniacs at the state level have issued them commercial driver's licenses, even though they're not entitled to have them. They don't speak the language for the most part. Many of these illegal aliens don't even come close. They don't want to learn the language. They don't care about the language, and they don't speak it. They don't speak English. They cannot read basic road signs in many cases.
That reminds me of there's a badass song, Speak English or die.
They've engaged in reckless driving that has caused many,
Baked Base Quick, good morning, by the way. Good to see you in the chat.
many preventable deaths, too many to even talk about. Last August, 3 innocent people were killed in Florida when an illegal alien from India made an unlawful U-turn, blocking all the lanes of the highway and causing a catastrophic crash. It was a disaster. Just a few weeks ago, a Pennsylvania state trooper was killed by an illegal alien from Haiti driving a semi-truck. He was let in by Joe Biden and the open border policy of the Biden administration. By the way, today we have the safest border in the history of our country. And I don't even say this usually, but for the last 14 months, because it's almost unbelievable.
We probably do have the most secure border that the United States has had. I would agree with that sentiment.
To say, but the media will correct me if I give anything that's even slightly off. As of 14 months in the
Yeah, Texas Gidget, I think it's Stormtroopers of Death, SOD, actually. I was trying to think, who actually sung that? I think it's Stormtroopers of Death.
last 14 months, 0 illegal aliens were able to come through our southern border. 0. Last year alone, illegal aliens with commercial driver's licenses caused at least 30 deaths and many, many very seriously injured. As president, I made it our official policy to enforce English language requirements for truck drivers and support American truckers on American roadways. We've already removed more than 24,000 non-English speakers from behind the wheel. We've also forced states to cancel more than 28,000 commercial driver's licenses unlawfully issued to illegal aliens. They were given illegally. As we get illegal aliens off the roads today, we're also taking action to replace these unqualified migrant truck drivers with highly qualified American veterans. Under our brand new Freedom Haulers, we call it Freedom Haulers initiative, any American who has driven a heavy truck for our military will automatically be eligible for a commercial driver's license. And
wow.
It's good paying jobs too. Any veteran with a heavy vehicle experience from the military will now be eligible to skip redundant road tests to obtain a commercial driver's license. We're going to make it as easy as possible for the veterans.
That's hilarious, VC.
Within 2 years following their active duty service. And for the veterans where no truck, where you have a situation where you have not truck drivers in the military, where you don't have truck drivers, they're going to be given a very quick pass. We're going to teach them. They're going to learn. If they didn't drive a truck in the military, but they're going to learn, and they're going to learn very quickly, and they'll be licensed in a matter of a few weeks, I think it is. They're going to take about 3 or 4 weeks of training. 34 states have joined this initiative, including Indiana, Wyoming, Louisiana, Arkansas, Alabama, Florida, and Maryland are joining us just today. Many of the representatives and leaders from those states are with us. It's actually a very big deal. This is a big deal. We believe that all 50 states and Washington, D.C. should join us in supporting these great veterans. And frankly, some of the states didn't know about it. They heard about it today, and I think they're all going to be signing up. Data shows that truck drivers who are veterans account for 42% fewer accidents. Think of that, 42%. And that number, they say, is a very minimal number, even as they drive the double the number of miles of non-veteran drivers. So to end this, very simply, the radical left wants more jobs for illegal aliens and more migrants and 18-wheelers. And Trump administration wants safer roads and more jobs for the American veteran. Now I'd like to ask a man who's done a fantastic job on this subject and many others, Secretary Duffy, to say a few words, followed by Secretary Collins, Nathan, and a great veteran truck driver, Ricky Washington. And I'll just stand here and watch. Thank you very much. Sean, go ahead.
All right, that's enough of that. We don't need to go through the rest of these guys speaking. We got the basic monologue there. Let's go ahead and move on, though. All right, father of Appalachia. I keep saying this fucking wrong because it looks like they spelled it wrong in the title, but they spelled it correctly in the description. Apache High School in Georgia. So a man who gave his son a gun to use to kill 2 students and 2 teachers at Apache High School in Georgia was sentenced Thursday, which was yesterday, to 15 years in prison. Okay, there we go. Jesus, what a mouthful. All right, here we go.
Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. We do want to continue on with our top stories that we're following today. And a bit of breaking news is just now coming into our newsroom. Putting this up on your screen from our X account, as this information about the father of an Appalachia high school shooter has officially been sentenced to prison. This happened in Winder, Georgia, but the father, Colin Gray, who gifted his 14-year-old son an assault rifle that the teenager then used to unleash a mass shooting at a Georgia high school, has officially been sentenced to 15 years in prison. It was back in March that a jury did convict Colin Gray on multiple charges, including second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter over the Christmas gift that his son used in the September 4th, 2024 shooting at Appalachia High School. So we have seen some video footage coming to us from the courtroom, but ultimately showing there on your screen, we do know that the judge in this case said that he had to measure Gray's failure to act against the crimes that were committed by his son. He went on to say that, quote, "I don't get to sentence with passion. I have the nearly impossible task of sentencing you without passion, despite the immeasurable heartache that you've caused. On September 4th, 2024, lives and families were forever altered." Gray, we do know, gave the weapon to his son, Colt Gray, even when...
Okay, but did he actually know when he was handing that firearm to his son that he was going to go use it, like on people? That's what I want to know.
And families were forever altered. Gray, we do know, gave the weapon to his son, Colt Gray, even when a few months earlier, law enforcement had come to their home because the teenager...
Oh, yeah, I remember the story now. Now I remember this whole fucking thing, yes.
...threatened to shoot up an elementary school. That information is according to prosecutors in this case. And so the shooter, who is now 16 years old, was sentenced to life in prison without parole for the attack.
Yeah, I think this happened sometime last year, and I remember covering it.
Which left 2 students and 2 teachers
dead.
What's
up, Sterling Will? Good morning.
8 more students were also wounded, 7 of them by gunfire. Again, the shooter was 14 years old at the time of the attack, but was charged as an adult. His trial had been scheduled to begin in mid-October until he pleaded guilty without reaching a deal with prosecutors. He declined to address the courtroom at his own sentencing just a few days ago. We do know that looking into the background of the shooter, the teenager was obsessed.
What's up, Rebecca, up there in Canada? Good morning to you. Great to see you in the chat.
Mass killers, and prosecutors even played jailhouse phone calls with his mother, in which he appeared to relish in the attention that his massacre ultimately brought to him. But once again, this is a new effort by prosecutors there to start to make sure that some of the parents who are involved in these mass shootings are also charged and sentenced to prison. But I want to put this on your screen there from Fox 26 in Houston. Colin Gray, the father of the Appalachia High School shooter Colt Gray, appeared in that Barrow County courtroom today, where he was ultimately sentenced to prison for his role in the 2024 mass murder. We did hear from the district attorney as well in this case.
So I guess it happened then, and then we were covering it. Maybe it was 24 when we covered it, but I seem to remember covering it like as details were emerging a year later. Even
I want to play out a few of those remarks for you here in the reaction to the sentencing.
Thank you all for your professionalism.
Can't hear him.
Okay. That was heartfelt.
Give him a microphone or some shit.
This is good. Could you address some of the things that we've heard today, particularly the audio tape between me and his mom? I think by most people said,
how come we can hear everybody else but this dude? Fuck it. I'm not listening to bad audio. If you got bad audio, well, guess what? You're not good enough to be on this show. All right. California cocaine bust. Border agents find $20 million worth of cocaine in a commercial truck, yo. Oh, shit. All right, here we go. Let's figure out what's going on here. That's a lot of moolah.
Next up, we want to talk about a major drug bust in Southern California. It was a huge cocaine seizure. And for more on this, we want to...
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Go out right now to Los Angeles, and that is where we find Fox News' Natalie Chuck joining us here live with the details. And Natalie, I mean, this just sounds like it's something out of a movie.
It really does. And I mean, this is the second largest cocaine bust so far this year in our region. More than half a ton of the drug nearly made its way into the country through California's border. These photos we're going to show you right here, they show what was left after officers inspected a commercial truck. Bags and bags of cocaine were hidden in the floorboards and flatbed, and the truck was also outfitted with rebar. A federal complaint says a border protection officer conducted an X-ray scan of the truck, which revealed anomalies and inconsistencies.
Oh, I'm sure it did.
This happened at the Calexico port of entry on Monday night. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the driver, 44-year-old Jose Manuel Lopez, was from Mexico and was the only person in the...
Wow, look at this shit. Wow.
car. He is now charged with
It's a lot of cocaine.
illegally importing cocaine into the U.S. Lopez told officers he picked up the truck in Mexicali, Mexico, about 20 miles away from where the inspection happened. Lopez said his employer told him to make his way to Phoenix, Arizona. Officers seized a total of 366 packages of cocaine from the truck, totaling more than 1,000 pounds and estimated to cost about $20 million. And this bust comes as the U.S. attorney overseeing San Diego says cocaine seizures are rising.
Since President Trump secured the border and launched the Take Back America initiative, the cartels have been deprived approximately $13 billion per year in annual revenue for alien smuggling. Put directly, cocaine is now the lifeblood of the cartels.
And those comments were made after the biggest cocaine bust so far this year. That one consisting of more than a ton of cocaine valued at about $45 million was found. That was linked to what officials called a sophisticated drug tunnel along San Diego's border. But as for this latest bust, the second largest in the region so far this year, Lopez could face up to life in prison if convicted. But on Tuesday, he pleaded not guilty. And during his arrest, according to that complaint, he told officers that he did not know what was in that truck.
Yeah.
And Natalie, I mean,
Yeah. I never saw it. You know, I didn't know it was there. Yeah, you just play stupid. I didn't know.
this just really illustrates what Border Patrol has to deal with when they see these types of trucks coming in. You just don't know any truck really could have this type of threat with this much cocaine on there.
Absolutely. And, you know, officials consistently tell me they really rely on that technology. They mentioned the X-ray. When they found those tunnels back in May, they relied on new technology that they're using to detect these tunnels. And those investigations into tunnels along the border can take upwards of a year. So really, you can see the product of their work, the fruits of their labor paying off when it comes to these investigations that include the DEA as well as Border Patrol and Customs and Border Protection.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Natalie, Chuck, thanks so much for...
Yeah, there's going to be some pissed off customers or well, not only that, because what are you going to sell them now? All right, let's go and get into this next ordeal here. Firefighters rescued driver after a truck crashes into a building. It looks like it happened over there in LA or something. Let's see what's happening.
Look how much work they have
This happened yesterday, mind you.
already done. I mean, they have got a substantial amount of lift on that roof already. You see the firefighter that is kneeling or just hanging off the side of that building. He's pretty much parallel now from his head to that roof line of the cab, which was not the case about 15 minutes ago.
That's right. And you know what? I just heard him talking. Like I said, a lot of times they will talk a lot on the radios, and this time they don't because they're all standing near each other. The update that I just heard them talk about is the driver's leg is trapped. So every time they move the truck, hang on one second.
Yeah, you could be ripping off his limb or some shit. Real quick, we got brother PJ in the chat, by the way, and Chasing Ghosts. Good morning to you both. Hopefully you're both enjoying your Felony Friday.
So the condition of the condition of the patient still stable. That's excellent news for everybody involved. But apparently his leg is what is trapped down there. So maybe what we're watching there with all this activity on the cab, on the roof there, that roof line, is probably more for access for the firefighters to get in closer, to get to whatever has pinned that driver's leg to the point where they cannot get the driver out safely. That also might be one of the reasons why they just don't pull it out of the way, because possibly the movement of the truck will move something in a way where it'll actually hurt or pin that driver in even more. This is the first time I heard them talk about what extremity is the problem, and a leg is what they're talking about right now. So these firefighters on the roof continue to, you can see them continuing with the plans, and even on the TAC channel, they just mentioned they have several teams working with different plans on how to get that driver free. But right now, his leg is still trapped, but his condition is stable.
Yeah, thank God that's still unstable.
Yeah, if he survived this crash, at this point, yeah, at least that's a very good thing. But unfortunately, his leg is pinned, like you guys heard there. Now, let me go ahead and fast forward here and see if we get any, because this is a lengthy, coverage of this.
We'll call that a
so we'll kind of, as it's going, we're moving around, seeing what we can get here
to get somebody free if they need to. Right now, though, we haven't seen much stabilization to make sure that truck doesn't move at all. Yeah,
they got a crane trying to lift or keep it stable or whatever the case
inches
is.
or settles or
Whole
rolls
truck.
somehow while they're doing these rescues. When that truck was up against the building, usually
Skipping
these
ahead.
are going to be steep hills.
Wow.
They didn't say a car, they said a truck. So then right away you're thinking construction, you're thinking, because we're right here at the Palisades where all that construction is going on for the rebuild from the fires. And in this case, it really was everything you hoped it wouldn't be. You had a heavy truck loaded with scaffolding on a steep road. Something happened, and tragically it went into the side of a building down there. This gives you a different perspective. You can see that what we were looking at, and also, you'd think that on Pacific Coast Highway that this is some sort of
Honestly, Richard, they haven't announced it. I'm not sure if he was impaired or if he looked at his phone or what was going on.
a business of some sort, but apparently these actually are residents right there. Nobody inside that building was injured, maybe not even at home at the time of the crash, but that driver definitely trapped inside that truck, and in the worst way. If it would have been, the opposite, at least if the driver would have been on the passenger side somehow.
Okay, let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit here and see if they end up pulling him out from this situation, because this looks, fuck.
Something from the truck to move that, to get that driver out of the way. Around, please.
Skipping ahead.
It's out of the way. They've
got the
to
stretcher
make sure
coming in.
that everything is safe when they pull them out. I have to be quick to draw if this is going to be something that we can't show on television. Conclude them out. They're going to put them on
here he is.
gurney. Then they're going to place them on this one, and then they're going to take them and put them into an ambulance and get them off to a
Oh,
local
yeah, he
hospital
is
quickly.
fucked up.
There you go. You can see that driver coming out. This is the first moments of him being freed from that wreckage. Amazing work by these firefighters.
Wow, this is truly amazing work by the fire crews and the rescuers to get this individual out. Learning that the driver
What a scene.
was stuck there, the leg was stuck, but then we just heard moments ago that both legs were free, and now look at how fast they got the driver out. We are seeing the motions now from that driver, who has to be in just deep pain. But
yeah, I recognize that pain.
again, great job by the fire crews. And thank you so much, Stu Mundell, high up above Sky Fox, giving us a great play-by-play and insight from this rescue. We really appreciate it, Stu, for you calling in. We take so much of your breaking news when it comes to the police chases out in Los Angeles, as well as the fire coverage. But we really appreciate when you could call in and talk with us as well, Stu.
You know what? And I give
And he
hats
goes.
off to Live Nation. I love what you guys do. I love how you do all the breaking news around the nation. I'm honored to be part of it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Stu Mundell, reporting live up Sky Fox for us on Live Now from Fox. Again, we appreciate that, Stu.
Yes, that was.
We'll let you get back.
That was actually very good coverage of that whole scene. All right. So as you guys may have heard yesterday, there was the quote unquote deal with Hamas and Israel. Well, it's not fully a deal. Okay, everybody. So they're making it sound like as if a whole deal just came where Hamas is going to be handing over their weapons completely to the government, which is also not necessarily accurate. I think it would be going to storage facilities, if anything. But the way that they label this is Board of Peace reaches deal to fully disarm Hamas. Well, is it actually, though? So let me go ahead and pull up. I posted this about it yesterday. I put it in the Discord, social medias, YouTube, all that stuff. So when this was all breaking, here's something that people also didn't know is this was all breaking by the mainstream media yesterday afternoon, right? It was all breaking, but it actually all happened about 2 days prior. It just didn't hit the media like that until, Al Jazeera started posting it and all these different big outlets, Reuters, Associated Press, whatever. So I said, breaking news, a major development in the Israel-Hamas conflict is now making headlines. Although reports indicate this framework has been under discussion for the past several days, today's public confirmations brought it into a broader spotlight. According to the multiple major news organizations, the proposed U.S.-backed framework, it's a framework, and that's exactly what I wanted to point out there, includes the phased disarmament of Hamas, a gradual Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, and the transfer of Gaza's administration to a Palestinian technocratic authority and an intentional stabilization force to help oversee, or international stabilization force to help oversee implementation. It's important to note that this is not yet a finalized peace agreement. Significant questions remain regarding implementation, verification, timelines, and final acceptance by all parties, and negotiations are continuing. As always, I'll continue reporting confirmed developments, not speculation, as this story evolves. And that goes for all stories, actually. So, anyways, it is an agreed framework. And do I actually think that this is going to hold some sort of like actual merit and get somewhere? But I don't think so, to be honest. And so let's just go ahead and bring up this story and figure out what they're saying here about it.
Welcome you back into Live Now from Fox. I'm Austin Westfall. As I come online, we are getting some breaking news coming from President Trump. This relates to Gaza and the Board of Peace that President Trump put together in light of his peace deal in the Middle East. Quote, today the Board of Peace reached a historic agreement for the complete disarmament of Hamas and all other armed groups in Gaza. This is a monumental step toward lasting peace and security. This agreement is a critical step toward Gaza finally being governed by a new Palestinian government that will work closely with the Board of Peace to help the Palestinian people. At the same time, Israel will have the security that it deserves, with Gaza no longer used as a base for terror attacks. This is a major milestone in the implementation of the Trump 20-point plan. The agreement will be carried out in carefully structured phases.
What's up, Mo, by the way? Great to see you in the chat. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning. I see you.
As disarmament is completed, Israeli forces will withdraw, and the International Stabilization Force will work with a new Palestinian police force to take responsibility for Gaza being safe for its residents and its neighbors. 1 year ago, there was a violent, raging war, humanitarian crisis, and hostages kept in brutal captivity. We have made historic progress, and there is still much work to do. I want to thank the mediators, Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey for their important efforts, and especially my outstanding team whose tireless work made this historic breakthrough possible.
I don't know why they over-celebrate things that are not worthy of that type of celebration, right? Yes, it should be talked about and stuff like that. Like, yes, we're getting somewhat in the right direction, but they over celebrate like as if, oh, there's peace now, it's all great, everything's great. Hamas is handing over their weapons, and it's like, let's be realistic here, right? Like, what the fuck?
The threat that emerged from Gaza on October 7th will not be allowed to rebuild. Under this agreement, Gaza will finally be in the hands of a new Palestinian government that serves its people. Congratulations to all on this amazing development that everybody said could never be achieved. President Trump posting that on social media moments ago.
And that's a very good point that you make as well, by the way, Dean.
I will look for any statements, possibly from the Israeli government or from the IDF, who have been in Gaza, in parts of Gaza. And of course, this is huge news because one of the main questions about the long-term, the longevity of the peace plan was, how do you disarm Hamas? Now,
again, this is not a peace plan or any of that. This is a framework, okay? So again, words matter, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and move on into some interesting news here in the United States. So I guess the Seattle police chief has resigned days after the deadly shooting over there. I wonder why. Let's go ahead and bring this up and figure out what is actually being said here.
To the Pacific Northwest, you can see one of my favorite Live Now looks, looking over the Seattle skyline, the Space Needle, and Mount Rainier in the background. Let's go out to KCPQ, Fox 13 in Seattle, as the Seattle Police Department Chief, Sean Barnes, he's being relieved of his duties by Mayor Katie Wilson. Today, Seattle Mayor Wilson, her office announced that she is accepting the police chief's resignation letter days after a deadly mass shooting during the Bite of Seattle festival at Seattle Center. KCPQ, as I said, Fox 13 in Seattle, they're coming online with their 5 p.m. news. Let's watch their coverage.
We as a city are in crisis. We have a crisis on what's happened with gun violence, but now this creates a crisis in confidence.
A confidence crisis in Seattle as Mayor Katie Wilson accepts the resignation of Police Chief Sean Barnes in the wake of the tragic deadly shooting at the Bite of Seattle Festival. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Rose. Mayor Wilson addressing the city of Seattle, posting this video statement just moments ago. Take a listen.
As we move forward, accountability applies to me, our systems, and every part of city leadership. Today, that includes an important update.
I can't believe this lady is a mayor of any place, any town, any city. It's mind-blowing to me.
About SPD. This afternoon, I received and accepted the resignation of Chief Barnes. I want to thank him for his service to the city.
Fox 13's Dan Griffin joining us now live from City Hall, getting reaction from Council Member of Public Safety Chair Bob Kettle. Dan?
Well, and David, Bob Kettle says he was informed yesterday about 5:30 in the afternoon. He says the focus, though, should be on lives lost and strong leadership instead of this big switch up over at SPD. He says making a significant leadership change basically puts our city in a precarious situation. He says we have cycled through 4 police chiefs in recent years and that the people of Seattle deserve better. He said that he stands, and all council members apparently stand with community members who have been expressing support for the former chief. And he also said that he thanks him for his service and that Chief Barnes worked for every citizen of Seattle. However, this has certainly been a very difficult day for a lot of people trying to figure out what is going on and what's going to happen next. We were here at City Hall trying to get answers ourselves. We know council members say that some of them were sideswiped by this announcement. So we asked Bob Kettle, do you have confidence in this mayor?
I do not have confidence in the city's ability at this point to really tackle these public safety challenges. And that, again, starts with the executive, starts with the mayor, and we need to do better. It is important to have the sustained leadership. It is important to have leadership that has follow-up.
Oh, shit, real quick. We got Mr. Mo G in the building saying, I like your show, Mike. Much love and respect. My man, thank you very much for that. Well, hopefully you stick around with us, man. This is what we do Monday through Friday. And then, of course, we have members only on Saturday morning. What happens to be tomorrow, and we don't discuss any of this crazy shit. We actually have a good time. But thank you very much for that. It goes a long way, Mo. And listen, man, we try to condense everything that's going on within an hour. You know, that's the aim. Sometimes we go over by 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It does happen. But we try to condense it down into a single hour, right? We're giving it all, just drive hard with facts.
Follow through. It is important for leadership to implement the ordinances we were doing, because we do have a coordinated plan. The mayor needs to do her own review.
Now, he also says that the city has made great improvements in recent years, and there are other reasons that need to be addressed. Obviously, he believes that this throws a little bit of a wrench in that as this transition happens. He says there's a need for sustained leadership dedicated to public safety, and he also says that the work that they have been doing, council members, has not been matched, and that's a problem. Now, I want to go to a statement that we have here from former Chief Sean Barnes, and he says in part, quote, I hope this
be safe out there, PJ.
Transition gives the city and this department the opportunity to return full focus to what matters most, addressing youth gun violence and preventing more tragedies. That work is too important, and Seattle deserves nothing less. And I just want to end on a
he was responding to the position. That's hilarious.
Note here, I got some information from a source within SPD. You know, we got a press release from the mayor's office at about 3:30 or so today. I'm told SPD internally didn't get notified about this till after 4:30. So still, obviously, a communications breakdown going on between this side of Fifth Avenue and the other side. For now, we're live here at City Hall. Dan Griffin, Fox 13 News.
Dan, thank you. And the Seattle Police Officers Guild also reacting to this afternoon's developments, writing, quote, Seattle doesn't need another week of political drama. It needs leadership. SPOG has repeatedly called for proactive public safety measures that could help prevent tragedies like Sunday shooting. Instead, Mayor Katie's administration has delivered confusion, mixed messages, and chaos surrounding Chief Barnes. The distraction.
Yes, I agree on that statement.
The solutions don't. Seattle deserves a mayor focused on preventing the next tragedy, not managing the next political crisis. Unfortunately, Mayor Katie has made it clear that public safety is not her administration's priority. Mayor Wilson announced that Andre Sales will serve as interim police chief. Sales is currently the deputy chief and has been in law enforcement for more than 20
Absolutely, Dean. You be safe out there. We always appreciate you, and thank you for dropping by and hanging out with us as always, man.
years. He previously worked in Wisconsin and was chief of the Beloit Police Department back in 2021. He also served 12 years on the department's SWAT team, and according to SPD, Beloit reduced gun violence under his leadership. He also led specialized drug and gang units. He's been outspoken about the need to clean up Aurora Avenue. He's been with Seattle Police for a year.
Damn. All right. So let's go ahead and move on into now. We're going to be discussing a little bit about NATO now. And we put this in the title, by the way. We said NATO scrambles jets. So what does that mean? Okay, so NATO jets scrambled amid Russian attack on Ukraine. It says an overnight Russian barrage of ballistic missiles and drones across Ukraine killed at least 10 civilians and injured more than 50 people, officials said Thursday. NATO scrambled fighter jets after Russian missiles briefly entered Polish airspace, raising fears the war could spread further west. All right, let's go and bring this up. figure out what's going on here with these jets, these NATO jets anyways.
Let's discuss the Russia-Ukraine war. Here's video from President Zelensky as NATO scrambled its warplanes overnight after a missile crossed the border into Poland while Russia carried out a ballistic missile and drone barrage across Ukraine. NATO said the missile entered Polish airspace and then landed in a rural area. It caused no injuries or damage. Unfortunately, there were casualties reported in Ukraine proper. That's what you're seeing video and photos of right now. Going to Mark Rutte, he's the Secretary General of NATO. He posted this saying he discussed with the head of Poland the violation of Poland's airspace by a Russian missile. Poland and NATO activated their air and ground defenses. We stand in solidarity with Poland and will continue to strengthen our readiness to defend against any threat, including missile attacks. This incident is yet another reckless act by Russia and a dangerous consequence of its war against Ukraine. I condemn.
Yeah, and the Reuters was reporting that they did it and it was kind of like an accidental thing. And it's like, well, with that munition in particular, they're very, very, very accurate. Like they don't hit what you don't target. You know, they are going to they're going to hit exactly what you target. So whether or not that's true or not, either way, it is reckless from Russia, for sure.
Last night's deadly strikes across Ukraine, NATO continues to provide essential support so Ukraine can defend itself. Our commitment is unwavering, Rutte said. Back to Ukraine, the Russian attack in Ukraine overnight killed at least 10 civilians, continuing Russia's almost daily bombardment of Ukrainian cities, including the capital of Kyiv, where the Associated Press says that tens of thousands of people spent the night sheltering in subway stations. Retired Marine Intelligence Officer, National Security Analyst, and the host of the Strap podcast, Hal Kempfer, is here with me. Hal, how much damage did the Russians do in Ukraine last night? We'll get to Poland in a moment here.
So obviously this came out yesterday evening, okay? And so they're specifically talking about the strikes that happened on Wednesday. That's what they're in particularly talking about.
When I talked about this attack as it was breaking news last night, now that we've had about a day to learn about it, how much damage did they do?
Quite a bit of damage, actually. They hit quite a few places. I mean, relative to everything else, it's not a showstopper by any means. But of course, you just mentioned the deadly attack that happened there. They also, interestingly, there's a U.S. Company that's building drones in Kyiv, or in around Kyiv, I should say. And that company actually has a factory that was hit by Russian missile. This is the first time that we've seen them deliberately attack a U.S. Weapons manufacturing facility in Ukraine. So that was kind of interesting as well. But it was a big attack. Not as big as some of the attacks in the past. It wasn't as big as some of those huge attacks where you'd see 650 cruise missiles and 100 plus, well, in terms of ballistic missiles, actually was as big or bigger than it had been in the past. But the drones were actually much less. The drones were actually, I think it was less than 300 as I recall. So that was a little bit smaller, but a lot of those things get through. And of course, the big problem is they don't have enough Patriot missiles. They just don't have enough missile interceptors. And so when they fire,
and people are like, well, didn't Trump just grant the authority for them to create certain missiles and Patriots or whatever? And the answer is yes, but it's not like that. First of all, they haven't manufactured it yet, and they don't even have a plant to be able to fucking manufacture them yet. It's going to take them to be able to make that like useful for them on the battlefield in defense, right? Then it's going to take about 5 to 10 years just on what it'll take to not only build what you need to be able to build these things, but then it takes time to actually build it. It takes time to build these munitions. They're not something that you just mass produce. It takes a long minute.
Are these missiles? Too many of them are getting through, and it doesn't take a lot to cause a lot of damage.
So is Russia trying to exploit that with attacks like this?
Absolutely. In fact, President Zelensky...
And then you have to learn how to actually use and operate them yourself.
The interesting ask he had of President Trump was, he said, hey, can you ask Elon Musk if we can use the Starlink system for terminal guidance, basically in Russia, going after missile launchers? Now, that's a real interesting proposition. It brings some questions as to would Russia then respond by attacking Starlink satellites in space or something? A lot of questions come up with that whole thing, but it just shows the desperation of the Ukrainians in that regard, that they would even ask for something like that.
What happens when NATO jets are scrambled, Hal? This isn't the first time something like this has happened. When the jets get scrambled and they're airborne, what are they actually doing when they get up there?
Well, first off, in case anybody's worried, it doesn't trigger World War III. I know some people get worried about that. They're going, oh my gosh, a missile comes in. In this case, it was an air-launched cruise missile, a KH-101. The Russians use that a lot. They got through. That's really what got most people concerned, was it was a missile. It wasn't a drone that had gone through. We just recently saw that drones had gone into Romanian airspace, and they also put fighters out there to intercept. When they launch, and when they basically what Mark Rutte was alluding to is the integrated air defense system that NATO has. And there are, in many of these countries, there are, the host country, the home country, I should say, has its air defense, but then there are other NATO countries that will have planes in there or other parts of the air defense system that will join in, but it's all integrated into one thing. So NATO works together in all the airspace of all the NATO countries. They share information. They work assets as they're there with various different countries, contributions, stuff like that. So basically what you saw was an air intercept launch. Apparently when they got out there, though, the missile had come into Polish airspace and then disappeared. And that's where they found basically the crater that they then put together with crater analysis and said it was probably a KH-101 cruise missile.
Right. And what he's getting at is specifically because he was talking about a lot about Russia and Ukraine, but then he brought it over to Poland. Now, that's what they're saying. They're like, oh, we accidentally kind of fired or whatever the case is. It didn't mean to go there. It meant to, anyways. The reason why it's weird is because it landed and hit nothing. It just hit the desert. You know what I mean? And so that's it didn't hit anything. It is totally odd, and that's why it makes me scratch my head. Like, what the fuck, dude? These are like some of the most accurate munitions. If what you deem that missile to be, those are one of the most accurate.
How is it so easy for projectiles to fly into NATO airspace that aren't supposed to?
Well, it's not like a wall. They can go in there and cross the border and get in there. I mean, obviously, if we had more air defense systems up there, it would be more difficult. NATO doesn't have what you might see in Israel. Israel has, basically this Iron Dome concept of a really tight, compact air defense system. NATO countries have an air defense system, but it's not like the Iron Dome system. There's been discussion of improving it to the point where it could emulate like the Iron Dome is.
Yeah, see, the Iron Dome is a multi-layer system. I think most of you guys know that. But it's 3 tiers. You've got the Iron Dome is actually the smallest part of the Iron Dome, like on the low scale of the munition. What it actually, they call it the Iron Dome, but ironically, Iron Dome is a specific missile on the small side, and then you've got your bigger batteries and all that stuff. But it's like 3 layers of protection, which does ultimately create an Iron Dome
on Israel. But country drones and things, aircraft, all sorts of stuff get in there. And by the way, they don't shoot down every single aircraft that go in. They have to identify who it is, and sometimes these are just incursions that are accidental, so they have to identify what it is and what's going on there. In this case, they saw it come in. They launched the intercept, but the missile had actually dropped and basically impacted before they got into intercept range. At least that's the way I understand it. So, but in other cases, we have seen intercepts of drones taking place. In many cases, they just watch the drones. If they're not going anywhere where they're going to harm people, sometimes they won't intercept them at all. They'll just keep an eye on them unless they pose some sort of threat to people.
In recent months, we've been watching as the Ukrainians themselves have been carrying out long-range strikes. And then obviously we have incidents like last night where the Russians...
And not only that, but Ukraine has targeted Moscow and shot deep into Russia and have done some serious damage with their in particularly with their drones.
Ukrainian capital. How do we answer the question today of who is winning this war? How complicated is it to answer that question?
Oh, that's extremely complicated.
Well, it's always complicated because it depends on how you define winning. If you're looking at movement, if you look at the amount of resources that Russia's putting in and what they're getting back from it, they're definitely not doing very well at all. And in fact, in recent months,
like we just looked up not that long ago, how many Russian soldiers have they lost? And they predicted anywhere from 350,000 to 500,000 that like actually are dead. And then the ones that got injured and all that, including those numbers, we're looking at anywhere from 1.1 to 1.2 million soldiers either killed or that got injured. Like, that's a humongous number, yo.
The country
That's an entire fucking generation
that was actually gaining
of kids, you
battle
know,
space or gaining territory on the battlefield was Ukraine, not Russia. Russia would gain a little bit, but Ukraine was actually gaining a lot more. So in that regard, you would say that. Strategically speaking, though, and I think this is the big one, is this deep strike program that Ukraine has, where it's hitting all over Russia, well into Siberia, hitting oil refineries, hitting in around Moscow, St. Petersburg, the two big metropolitan areas, those two big cities, where all the oligarchs, the elites, the government really sets. That is having a dramatic effect, a dramatic psychological effect as well on Russians. And that is making Putin very nervous. He's weighing whether he should do a mass mobilization in September after the midterm, what they call kind of midterm elections. He's weighing that after the Duma elections, if he should do that. Of course, if he does a mass, with the amount of casualties they're suffering, if he does a mass mobilization, that could boomerang on him politically, and he could be in a far worse spot for just having announced that mobilization.
What does a mass
all right, so
mobilization mean? A mass
actually, I'll allow him to answer this.
Mass mobilization be bringing up 300 to 500,000 new troops onto active duty to go fight the war. What will happen is they will also cause a mass casualty situation because they'll be poorly trained, poorly equipped, poorly led, and they'll go down there and encounter that.
Yes, by the way, we got to get the likes up, man. Yeah, thank you. That's a good call out, by the way. Yes, let's get the likes up, man. You guys don't have to like all this craziness, but you guys can like it for me, what we're doing here on Insane Wheels. So thank you for that. Definitely hit that like button, double tap the screen. Let's get it.
That wall,
likes up.
That 15 to 25 kilometer wall of drones and everything else that are right along that battle space, and the Russians go in there and they just get chewed to pieces. And that's what's kind of sinking in across Russia, is that if they go to Ukraine, there's a very good chance they'll be killed. Well, if you do this mass mobilization, think of all those families, think of all those young Russian men that are sitting there going, I'm going to my certain death, and their families are feeling the same way. That could have a real political backlash on Putin, where they may not even go to the battlefield before you see something happen on the streets of Moscow.
Yep, and he's right about that analysis, by the way. All right, we got to move on, because believe it or not, after this, I'm sure you guys, well, some of you guys here that are longtime watchers will know who this is, but I'm meeting up with Grid One Motorsports. We're going to eat lunch right after this, so I'm trying to cram it all in and get it done, but man, we're still behind. All right, so let's get into this next story here. Trump threatens to pull Todd Blanche nomination until GOP holdouts leave office. Let's go on and see what's going on here.
I'm Alexander.
And we're not going to play the whole thing here either, because this is a lengthy conversation. I guess they bring on somebody to talk. We don't need to do that. So.
Goldberg, your host here at Live Now from Fox. Well, Todd Blanche's nomination to be Attorney General is stalled in the Senate. Now the president...
And this is being discussed, I mean, nonstop in the media right now. This just happened this morning.
As his nomination...
Well, it happened, it first got announced late last night, but then it is a big topic of conversation this morning.
Might be pulled entirely until after midterms. The president posted this on Truth Social today, saying Todd Blanche is a star and everyone knows it. He has the potential to go down as one of the greatest attorney generals of all time. However, John Cornyn of Texas and Tom Tillis of North Carolina, both of whom I refuse to endorse and whose political careers have been ended by my action, are refusing to vote for this great nominee who will remain in any event as acting. Remember, both Cornyn and Tillis voted for Merrick Garland.
What's up, Extra Surprise? Good morning, by the way.
And others too numerous to mention. I have no objection to temporarily withdrawing Todd's name if they do not do the right thing in putting him back after Cornyn and Tillis are out of office. Let's go ahead and take a live look here at Capitol Hill as we continue to discuss. President Trump may try to keep his attorney general on the job without Senate confirmation. The two Republicans currently blocking Todd Blanche's nomination, however, say they're not the only ones with major concerns. Fox News correspondent Caroline Elliott has more.
Waiting for it. You got to switch over, baby girl.
Todd Blanche's nomination entirely. Trump's pick for Attorney General stalls in the Senate. He now says he may pull Todd Blanche's nomination entirely until after the midterms. The president, writing on Truth Social Thursday, quote, I have no objection to temporarily withdrawing Todd's name if they do not do the right thing and putting him back after Cornyn and Tillis are out of office. Are they holding things up? Well, everybody has a right. John Cornyn and Tom Tillis are the two.
Oh, she's coming over here on the vertical or the horizontal side,
GOP
Steve.
senators standing in the way, and a no vote from either one tanks Blanche's nomination. The reason behind the protest goes back to the Justice Department's controversial settlement agreement between President Trump and the IRS that also shields Trump from audits.
For all of the affiliated organizations for the president and his family, which I understand could go and range into the hundreds.
That agreement also includes future tax immunity until it's suggested it's not the president who's fighting for it.
This is not about Blanche. Blanche is negotiating in good faith.
What's up, brother Straight? Great to see you in the chat, by the way.
We
Good
have
morning.
somebody else in the way.
Both lawmakers also want confirmation the DOJ's proposal for a $1.8 billion weaponization fund is truly dead.
They need to put that in writing so it's enforceable, and so far they have been unwilling to do that.
This reveals how deep the corruption is around this weaponization fund, that Trump absolutely refuses to let Blanche sign the document that would actually kill it.
Both Cornyn and Tillis are leaving office in January, and Trump has suggested he would keep Blanche on as acting attorney general until then. In New York, Caroline Elliott, Fox News.
Well, Caitlin Dees with the Washington Examiners here with us to discuss. Hello, good evening.
I'll allow him the front monologue of what he's going to give off, and then we'll move on.
Thank you.
Good evening, Alexandria.
So let's go into this a little bit further. What are the two Republican senators looking to negotiate before they throw their support behind his nomination?
Well, really, this comes down to whether Blanche and albeit the White House are willing to part ways with some elements of this settlement that's been talked about with the IRS. In reality, it comes down to the senators wanting Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche to put into writing that there is not going to be any gray areas to this settlement, that there's not going to be future immunity over tax returns. What the settlement really said,
dude, that's a good call out. He totally does look like Richie Rich.
Is that there would be no prospective immunity, as in if there was a future tax return that could be eligible for review, but there would be immunity for previous tax returns that were filed in the past. So what it comes down to is how much of the language is there being massaged right now, and how much is Cornyn asking the DOJ? Obviously, we know that the weaponization fund has been said numerous times to be dead by the acting attorney general, but at the same time, there is that residual comment from President Trump. He said that he likes the idea of the weaponization fund and that he'd like to see it happen. And there's a lot of people, I would say, people like anti-abortion activists that were prosecuted under the FACE Act, former January 6ers, who would like to see maybe some sort of payment or allocations, all types of people who would benefit from this. And those people have been cheering sort of on the sidelines, but really the idea or the prospect of doing that has been very unpopular in Washington. And so it'd be very interesting to see if the president maybe tries to get that back on the table at some point at a less politically contentious time.
All right. That's a good point to move on from. And yes, by the way, we are officially in overtime. You know what that means? No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Send in your freaking money.
Denied.
I love you guys. Appreciate it. But, it is what it is. All right. Let's go ahead and give you guys a sandwich.
Man, motherfuckers talk all the shit they want. But you see me, I'm sitting up here snacking on this big ass sandwich, not getting a fuck. Kiss my dick, motherfucker.
Shit. All right, let's go ahead and get into this next story here. Iran claims strikes on 2 oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. All right, so you guys know that that's what we made the thumbnail based off of today. And let me know what you guys think of it, man. Make sure you guys hit the like button, man. Let's get the likes up. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and present this. 3, 2, 1, bam.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time is 8:07 on the East Coast and 5:07 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be here for the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. And right there on the right-hand side of your screen, an image that you've probably seen quite a bit since February as you're looking at the Strait of Hormuz. Once again, not a lot of movement there. I want to get you to the latest coming in out of the region as we see the tensions rise between the U.S. and Iran. Take a look at this post from Iran International English. It says Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, said Friday that it struck and halted 2 oil tankers that it said had attempted to pass through the Strait of Hormuz via, quote, an unauthorized route under U.S. military air escort. In a statement, the IRGC said 4 other tankers turned back after the incident. The IRGC accused the tankers of ignoring Iranian warnings and said the vessels had attempted to transit the waterway after being, quote unquote, misled by the U.S. military Central Command, known, of course, as CENTCOM. A lot of that information here coming in within the last several hours. So what I want to do is bring in Javed Ali over at the University of Michigan, always joining us to break down all of the latest developments there out of the Middle East. And as always, a lot going on. Javed, thank you so much for being here with us.
Josh, nice to be with you. Thank you.
And I have to ask you, so we're starting off by talking about the Strait of Hormuz and these claims from Iran, once again, the IRGC, that they have launched these attacks on those oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. We don't have a lot of information just yet, but to hear Iran doing this, continuing to do it, what does that say about maybe where things stand?
Josh, really good question. So I think,
Yeah, I was about to say that's an excellent question.
I think it tells us that Iran will still fire on ships passing through the strait that it believes are either not honoring the rules.
Oh
that
shit! My man Virginia Chaos sent in a Cash App. My man, thank you very much for that. He sends in $10. He says, "Towards your lunch beer, bro. Have a good weekend." Well, thank you very much for that. It's definitely going towards a good lunch and beer. You know, the beer at lunch. Absolutely appreciate that.
Or
My man.
somehow violating these terms that it thinks that that all sort of shipping has to abide by. Perhaps some of these ships also haven't paid fees or tolls to Iran. That could be another part of the calculus. But I also think it demonstrates Iran's capability, operational capability, to continue to attack ships, even though we've seen the U.S. Attack.
Well, it kind of somewhat is to an extent, Steve. Like everything right now is a house of cards. You know, it definitely is. I definitely know that. You know that. And at any time, this shit, what is going to be very sticky about the situation is if the Houthis end up threatening to shut down their strait, the Al Mandab Strait. If they do that, it's gonna fly off the handles.
Iranian military capabilities for now months along that whole coastline where the Strait of Hormuz sort of follows. And despite probably hundreds, if not thousands, of strikes against different types of weapon systems and command and control facilities and other targets, that Iran still has this ability to attack ships. So there's a lot to unpack there.
Damn, Rabbit of Chaos, 6'5".
But I think there's multiple things going on at the same time.
And it's also important to note, you just touched on this, but one thing that we don't know too much about is how kind of things stand when it comes to Iran's military. We've heard from President Trump, we've heard from Secretary Pete Hegseth, essentially saying that Iran doesn't necessarily have a navy, any military at this point, but it looks like they are still kind of launching those attacks. Now, they're also claiming that they launched an attack, a drone attack of sorts, a bit earlier today on a U.S. base over in Kuwait. We haven't heard any confirmation from CENTCOM. We haven't heard whether...
And that's true. I've seen all those reports as well. And real quick, we got Brother Cord, or well, I should actually say Straight Jacket in the chat. So he sends in $4, says, "So what? Your uncle touched you." So what? Your uncle touched you. Get over it, bro. Jesus Christ, you guys are fucked.
Emotional, damn it.
Well, dues are paid. Thank you for the $4 on the Cash App, my man. Let's go.
Or not, there were any impact strikes, injuries.
What's up, Charlie Rose? Good morning.
So the fact that we don't fully know what Iran is capable of at this point, I have to imagine that creates a lot of maybe uncertainty.
Yeah, it's another really good question, and one I've been thinking about a lot these past several months. So here we are now, 5 months into this conflict, roughly, and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is still, for the most part, intact as Iran's premier military organization, and pre-conflict had about 100,000 plus men under arms. That number actually could be even bigger across multiple sort of elements of warfare within the IRGC. They had their own Navy, they had their own Air Force. That's where the ballistic missile and drone programs all reside under, and then the nuclear program as well, and then even unconventional warfare with the Quds Force. So the IRGC is still intact as a military organization, even though they've lost senior personnel and perhaps other numbers of people through these U.S.
Shit, you know what? Just because you asked, you in particular, I got you. I got you,
Man, motherfuckers talk all the shit they want. But you see me, I'm sitting up here snacking on this big ass sandwich, not getting a fuck. Kiss my dick, motherfucker.
And as back to our normal scheduled programming here.
And previously Israeli military operations. But on the ballistic missile and drone and cruise missile capability, this is where Iran still appears to have a significant capability, because as we've seen, even over the past few weeks, despite all the operations that have been conducted, even against those types of weapons that the IRGC was operating and controlling, Iran is still firing them every day. And yes, that inventory is probably lower than it was at the beginning of the conflict. Yes, there's less capability, but they have still either preserved a significant amount of it, which hasn't been taken off the battlefield, and they've clearly used some aspect of that capability. And I also, a third piece of this, and I can't prove it from where I sit here, but I have to believe they still have the ability to produce ballistic missiles and drones and cruise missiles, at least at some level, because that seems to be one of the factors that is sort of backfilling these weapons that have either been destroyed or degraded or used. So I have to imagine there's a production element to this that hasn't yet been dismantled by the U.S. And so that's another aspect of
What's up, brother Dean, over there in the West Coast? Great to see
this
you.
conflict as it proceeds.
All right, I'm going to pop this up on your screen.
Now, real quick before he continue. Oh, this is actually interesting.
Well,
Let me
this
see
is coming in now from Iran International English, and it's a topic that you and I have discussed several times over the past several months, not even, I would say, after Operation Epic Fury started. Really, it was before, when we saw a lot of the protests that were taking place. Now, it says, Tehran's prosecutor has launched legal action against an unspecified number of people for opposing the execution of detainees arrested during the January protests and defendants convicted in cases linked to the recent war. That's according to Iran's judiciary news outlet reporting this. Now, that outlet said the cases were opened after referrals from security and intelligence agencies and reviews of social media posts. It did not identify those targeted, specify the charges, or disclose how many people were under investigation. Now, I said you and I have discussed this quite a bit because we were talking about the fact that after we saw those protests back in January, we saw the numbers start to dwindle as there were public executions that were taking place. And it sounds as though those are still happening.
Yeah, Josh, this is another grim aspect of the conflict that obviously the crackdown on the Iranian population, even before the fighting broke out in late February, that was brutal and probably unprecedented in the history of the Islamic Republic.
And some peanut butter.
For the last 50 years, where that many people were killed or imprisoned by the regime. And here we are now. And yes, we do not see these large-scale protests because I think even the Iranian people, and that's probably the majority, who feel that they want to be under a different regime than the current one that they've had for the past 50 years, are so afraid of coming back out in the streets because they saw.
Well, here's the problem. I've already explained this multiple times as well, is people think, yes, you know, we're talking a huge amount of people that died. I mean, let's just say at minimum 40,000 people. That's a lot of people, and not to even consider the ones that got arrested, which are way, you know, we're talking like 80,000 people got arrested or some ridiculous number. But the truth is you don't need tens of thousands on the street. You don't even need hundreds of thousands. You need millions. Dude, we're talking a country that's got 91 million people. Okay. As a whole, the majority do like the situation that they're in. They like, not in the war front, but like with the regime, they're happy with it. They're happy with how they live. You need millions of those motherfuckers to stand up and go, we're taking the streets over. It's not going to happen with 50,000 people or 100,000 or 200,000 or 300,000. It's going to take a lot of people. Anyways, we got to move on. Standoff over Trump's nomination of Todd Blanche for Attorney General. This new report coming out this morning. Well, I shouldn't say it like that. It came out 2 hours ago. So right an hour before we started the show.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time is 8:29 on the East Coast and 5:29 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'll be here for the next several hours as we break down all of your top stories and live events from across the country and the world. And President Trump says he may withdraw and delay Todd Blanche's nomination for Attorney General until Senators Cornyn and Tillis leave office. Both senators have demanded additional assurances in writing that the, quote, anti-weaponization fund is dead and have pressed for clarification on the scope of a tax immunity deal that the president secured by suing the IRS. The Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday postponed a planned vote to advance Blanche's nomination. And just minutes ago, we actually heard from President Trump on Truth Social as he fired back against John Cornyn. Look, he said, John Cornyn never had a problem with the so-called fund, which will not benefit me, but rather the great American patriots who were hunted down like dogs and whose lives were unfairly and illegally destroyed by the crooked Joe Biden administration until after I decided to endorse and support his Republican primary opponent in Texas, who easily won the nomination for the U.S. Senate. Perhaps there has never been a group of people treated so badly in our nation's history. They are suffering still, many ruined, and I felt that they should be given compensation for what's been done to them. I gave up any payments for myself, which would have been substantial, including for the illegal and unprecedented raid on Mar-a-Lago, my home in Florida, even though many legal experts and others, including John Cornyn, said it was a shocking and disgusting display of weaponization against me. Now, this is a lengthy post, and President Trump goes on to say, such an event has never happened before and hopefully will never happen again. I will always feel that these victims of government abuse should be paid back for what they were forced to endure. Their lives have been ruined. Millions of people agree with me, as was proven in my landslide presidential win, where this was a major subject of debate. And so did John Cornyn until he lost his election to an opponent that I endorsed. Todd Blanche, a good man, should be immediately approved as U.S. Attorney General. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Gerard Felitti is senior counsel at the Lawfare Project and joins us quite a bit.
We don't need to have them come on and have a discussion about this. I think we don't really need to have a discussion about it. It's exactly what it is. That's what happened right there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough for allowing me to do this Monday through Friday. And of course, then Saturday morning for members only, which is tomorrow, by the way. So if you guys received any gifted memberships or signed up for a membership this week, make sure you guys tune into it, man. It's a great time. We all always do have a great time. So listen, we'll be back here, tomorrow for members only, but then of course we're off on Sunday and then we're back on Monday morning at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. So anyways, much love, honor, respect to you guys. Enjoy your Felony Friday. Stay safe out there and God bless everyone. Be safe.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul, with a heart of steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels, ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with, fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry.